Let me read to you again what that prophecy says. Let me read it to you. It says, let me go back to where it is. It said, because, he says, I am releasing the wind to all of you who are crying out to me. He said, because you are crying out to him and you never stops, he will definitely release the wind to you, and that the months of April to July will become the months of unceasing testimonies to his name. So the month of April we are entering, many of you will see miracles, either the first miracles of this year or the second. People of God, by the way, there are many of you who are very close to me, but you cannot get to me. It's because of certain things that I'm handling right now. It's making it difficult for people to reach me, even those who are really, really very close to me. Please, there are things I'm doing. I will get back with you. There are times I'm not allowed to be with the outside world. There are times I'm not allowed. I just have to be obedient. Okay, let's continue. So make sure you mark the month of April to July, and make sure that unceasingly you cry out to God and said, you promised the wind must come. Now let me share with some of you what happened some years back. I think this was in Chile. I read it in the works of Peter Wagner. Yeah, I read it in his work, and I think I don't know whether he's still. I think I have to find out to see whether Peter is still alive in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I think that's where he retired to, and have his institute. I'm going to check that out and see. Okay. Now, the first time I heard of him, I think that was from my. There was a senior pastor that was very Pentecostal. Um, that followed the ministry of one James something in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and that one too has passed away. Most of these giants are gone. And he introduced me to the works of Peter, so I read his work, and I really like it. Now, this is what, in his story, in one of his books, I read this a long time ago. There was a Methodist pastor that saw the move of the wind. In fact, I'm going back to read that book. I'm going back to read all his works. He saw the move of the wind. I'm telling this story so that you, when you hear God say, I am going to release the wind, and in 3 months, you will have constant testimonies. You know that God means business. And he said it will only come to those who are crying out to me for it. If God doesn't see 2 things, number 1, sincerity, number 2, passion. If you do not have passion, you really need it. You really want it. I watched this guy. What is his name? His name is Anthony. I think Tony. Yeah. He traveled around. He traveled around the nations of the world to see their culture, their politics, and especially their food. Um, and he was in China, and there was a particular food that was made for him, and he and these Chinese people that show him around and tell him how things are in China. While they were eating, I remember Anthony goes, this food is not just something that you want, it's something that you really need. He said the food is so good that you really need it. You need it, you know. Another guy that does something similar to that is also very good is
Andrew Zimmerman. Andrew is good too. Yes, Andrew is good too. Yep. The guy from Minnesota. So there is the story in Peter's book, in Peter Wagner's book, about this Methodist pastor. When he saw the move of God somewhere, he said to God, you must apply the laws of verification in Chile. This is how the Pentecostal movement, the apostolic and full gospel movement, came to the nation of Chile. Please listen. If you are from Chile, you know what I'm saying. This night is true. And if you are from Chile, please make contact with me. Let me know how the Pentecostal movement is still going on in Chile. But this is what happened. This man went, this Methodist pastor, he was pastoring a Methodist church. He went and knelt down before the altar and told Jesus and said, what you are doing, the movement of the wind in that church, in that country, I need it here. And listen to what he heard. Jesus spoke in an audible voice to him and said to him, if you want me to do in Chile what I've done in the other country, tell willing people in your church to join you to pray every day for several days or weeks or months. I can't remember exactly. But he told them how many weeks or months they had to come every day to come and pray about the same thing. You ask me, why does? Because he want to see passion, sincerity. He want to really see whether you really need it. So that when you get it, you will appreciate it. You will keep the fire burning for a long time. God doesn't want to give you something that you get it and tomorrow you say next. Nope. He won't give it to you if that's what you want. Just the next fad. No. He wants to give you something that you will appreciate and protect with all your life. It will not just be common. So he gave them a job to do. If you want the wind to come to you in money, new dreams, new revelation, like was given to Gigi. If I tell you how much Gigi runs after me, you will think that she's a wife. If you see the way she does everything to see me succeed in ministry, you will know that she's seriously. She's Roman Catholic, by the way. She's Catholic. And yet she's charismatic. She believes in the fullness of the gospel. She believes in the move of the Holy Ghost. So Holy Ghost movement is not limited to just us Protestants. They are Catholic, Roman Catholics who are praying and asking God for the wind. So Jesus told the man in an audible voice, if you and people who really need it will be coming back to this altar every day to pray to me, I will show up. And they began to do that. And I will tell you something. It was that pastor and few women. It's always women. That's why women, you now know why I'm not letting go of you guys. Because who I am today is because of a woman. It was a woman, a white woman, who led me to the gospel. My parent led me to the Bible and led me to God. A white woman led me to the gospel. I am in the supernatural ministry today because two white men, one from Europe, one from America, opened the whole thing up and said it's about time. And I went. Women introduced me to prayer. Why prayer is very important. They took me along with them as a little boy to go to morning prayer. That's why I so much stress prayer. Because that's where your protection is. That's where your prosperity is. That's where your provision is. People take it common. I don't. Because all of those women that were taking me to prayers, they all lived to be 100 and something years. I'm serious. I'm going to write about each of them in a book and immortalize each of them. They all lived to be 80, 90, 100. Many of them reach 100. How? And young people are dying, but those people, they remain. They outlived their own children. Their own children came and died, and those women were still there. I'm serious. Let's begin to face it. It's like if Ma Mercy, my mom, if she showed up, you would not believe that she is her age. 70. I mean, it's something that still baffles me. My adopted mom, Gertrude, is 70. The one I came out of her womb is 70. It's incredible. I don't know how that happened. One is from Africa, one is from the Bahamas. How that happened, I have no idea. Don't ask me. That man and those few women continue to come to that church every day to pray for the wind to come. They continued. And then suddenly, the wind came to Chile through that man. What did the Methodist Church do? I'm not accusing the Methodist Church, but let's face it. It's there in that book. It's a judgment against the church. They threw him out. They threw him out. Just like the Baptists threw Kenneth Hagin out. They threw him out. They gave him a left leg of fellowship. They kicked him out. They kicked his butt out of the church for bringing Pentecostalism. He brought the Holy Ghost. Everything changed. Healing began, including the president of the nation. He saw physically healings and miracles happen right before them. That's how the household of the presidency, all of the household of the person that was ruling at that time become born again. Everybody there, because of what they saw. I'm serious. That's how Pentecostalism, that's how the wind of Pentecost returned to Chile. It will not just come because you just pray one time. It's going to come because somebody's going to pay price. Let me tell you something. There is a place I'm going to reach to be very hard to get me. I mean, if you get me once a week and we talk, that should be enough for you. Because there is something I'm looking for that there is no human being who is able to bring it about. It's only Jesus that can bring it about. And I know that I'm going to pay a price for it. And that is why I do not want any man or any woman to make me to lose focus on what I'm looking for. Because Billy Graham brought the evangelical movement, not the Pentecostal movement, no. He brought the evangelical movement in his days. Kenneth Hagin ushered in the fullness of it. Lester Summerall brought the power, the might side of it. I don't really know much about Oral Robert. I'm serious, I don't really. I only know that he was a healing evangelist. I'm trying to study about his life and ministry nowadays. I don't know why God didn't introduce me to his side of ministry. I don't know. So I don't really know much. But I know that he built the Oral Robert University and there was a lot going on. But I was not sent to him. You have to know who you are sent to. You have to know who you are tied to. Please, I'm just letting you know. It's not every man or woman of God who is an answer to your prayer or who is a manifestation of your blessing. Please, it's not. They might have all the great things in the world, but you might not be tied to them. I'm just letting you know. This is how this thing works. That's the mystery behind it. You have to know who you are sent to, who is the answer to your prayer, and you stay there with that person forever. That's how it is. You don't change. So I'm looking forward to April, May, June, July. April, May, June, July. Yeah, I think 4 months. Yep, 4 months of unceasing miracles. If a Methodist pastor could pay the price with few women, and the wind came to Chile, the country of Chile, I want it to come to America. I'm willing to pay the price. I'm willing for it to come to Africa. I'm willing for it to come to the Middle East. I'm willing for it to come to Canada. I'm willing for it to come to all parts of Europe. I'm willing to see the wind move powerfully in Asia, in India. I have big interest in India. It's a large population. I have big interest in China, in Russia, in each of the Caribbean islands, the Indian Ocean, the Pacific Islands, the South Pacifics. I want the wind. So no matter what the price is going to be, I am willing to go there. Paul did it, and the rest is history. I do not just want to be, how do I put it? I do not just want to be someone that came and enjoyed the fruit of other people's labor, other people's brains, but I want God to sow a big seed through me that will stand the test of time for many generations, for His glory and His name. And then if Jesus tarries and He calls me home, then I will continue the ministry I have here on earth in heaven. Unfortunately for me, I will say fortunately, unfortunately for me, the ministry I'm doing on earth today, I'm doing ministry in 2 places. I didn't know that until something happened 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I began to see that when I'm ministering, that's why I really need to prepare before I come, before the camera or a church or anywhere. I suddenly discovered that there were people who were told to watch what I'm doing on the earth in heaven. There are things that if you didn't want to learn them while you're on earth, you are going to learn them in heaven. This is true. And so my ministry in heaven has begun already. Because now it makes sense to me what Padre Pio said of Italy, of Tuscany. Gigi, you should be familiar to that. You're a Roman Catholic. Okay. And many others of the saints in the Protestant churches, they've spoken about it. Many of them will tell you, Paul said whether he's here physically or whether he goes to heaven, he's still with the Lord. He still continues the ministry. Paul is still ministering up to today. Peter is still ministering. Andrew is still ministering. Abraham is still ministering. What you are naturally gifted and called to, that's what you'll be doing. I used to believe that Abraham is the father of faith until God told me his real name and showed me where it came from. I was astounded. Abraham is not just the father of our faith. Abraham is called the father of hospitality. Abraham should be the patron saint of those in hospitality business. I'm serious. I can't wait to call my hotels and restaurants after him. I'm serious. Why? Because he gave food to angels. He was known to be a man that was very kind to strangers. There was something I wanted to do, and I called on Mama Gertrude last night, and we spent more than an hour. And she talked sense into me. That's what we are talking about. And she revealed more about me. As I listened back, I was like, wow. Your professional job might not be the real thing. Why I really need a lot of money is because there are two sides of me that I'm praying and crying out to God for God to move mightily. I want in different countries of the world, I want to build houses for people. I started my life as helping strangers. I want to build shelters. People of God, let me reveal a revelation to you so that you can know a little bit more about what God wants to do with me.